Hello, everyone. Welcome to this branding empathpreneur conversation. And I'm with my dear, dear friend Lulu. And I'm so excited to introduce you to her and to share a bit more about her background and experience as an empathpreneur, and also some of her wonderful branding and design tips as well. So, which will be really helpful because we're doing the sacral chakra in my group at the moment. So let me give you Lulu's official bio and welcome. She is an artist and designer who uses creativity to help people and organizations thrive. She's provided branding, graphic design, illustration, and graphic recording to various clients, including the African Women's Development Fund, the BBC, Deutsche Welle, Facebook, and many more. She is the founder of Afri-love Fest, the Afri-love Women community, and co-founder of the Afri-love Connection Club for female founders. Lots of stuff, Lulu, but amazing to have you, and thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
So I've given like the official bio, but let's get to the real stuff. So I'd love to know a bit more about your journey and how you got to where you are today, if that's cool.
Yeah. So where do I begin?
I know, but
yeah. I'm from Kenya, and I grew up in Kenya, and Tara and I met very, very many decades ago. Here in Kenya. So I moved to the US for university, and I went to art school. And at the time, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do something creative. And so it was a big exploration. So I ended up focusing on art direction and ended up working in advertising for a short while, and then realizing that it wasn't for me. And then at that point, I was all confused again. I was considering kind of leaving the whole creative field, and I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I had developed a really keen interest in African studies in the time that I was in the US. And so I ended up deciding to go back to school and to pursue an African studies degree. So looking at anthropology, politics, literature, film. And so I did that, and then finished school, and then it was time to kind of enter the real world. And again, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew from my past experience working that it needed to be something that I cared about. It needed to be work that was aligned with my values. And so, I set out job hunting with that in mind. So I ended up actually getting a design job, ironically. But, it was with an agency that only worked on projects that were dedicated towards sustainable development. So I was like, okay, this is something that aligns with what I care about. And so let's do this. So I did that for quite a few years. And got to a point again where I didn't feel aligned with what I was doing. We're setting out to save the world, but I was just conscious that my life, I wasn't taking care of myself, and I just started to think about how can we take care of anybody else or anything else if we're not taking care of ourselves first. And so I knew something needed to change for me. And eventually what I decided to do was to leave employment and work for myself so that I could have that space and time to decide how I want to work, what I want to work on, and so on. So I took that leap in 2009. And I haven't gone back to employment since. So it's been a journey and a half. I didn't know what I was doing when I started really in terms of running a business. And so, I've been learning on the job, and I became really passionate about it, and so that's what has inspired some of what Tara mentioned, like the communities that I facilitate, where we're sharing knowledge about how to run a business, and more importantly, how to run a business that is aligned with what's really important to you. And as much as in the beginning I was kind of feeling like, okay, maybe this creative thing isn't for me, it's so interesting how it's come full circle, and I've realized actually creativity is my tool for doing all the things that I want to do. And so even when it comes to those communities, creativity is a big part of all of them, and has all culminated most recently in a new community that I just launched called Free to Create, which is just about empowering creative people to create businesses that enable them to thrive. So yeah, in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I love that. And I love how you're so willing to commit and just go with it and learn as you go, and always realign to your purpose and what what feels good to you and how you're looking after yourself. And I just admire that so much, and think it's just wonderful that you do that, and such an inspiration. Absolutely.
Thank you, Tara.
Amazing. And that's, I know we'll come on to that, but that's such a big part of your branding, how you support others. Yeah. It's that, ultimately, and you're living proof of it, which is so inspirational. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely. So we have quite a mix of people, watching, and, different ranges of starting a business and stuff like that. And I'd like to just talk a little bit more about your journey, because it's, so inspiring, and just to share for, others and things. What have you found hardest being on this journey? I mean, there's probably a few things, but are there any things that stick out?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that came to mind was, of course, the financial aspect of things. Sustaining yourself and sustaining, I have a small team. So, so the financial aspect has definitely been the most challenging thing. And the biggest learning curve, just how do you do something that, something that you love, but in a way that's realistically going to sustain the lifestyle that you want. And so, it's been an experimentation, trying different things, realizing certain things don't work, and realizing that, yes, there's sometimes there are things I really, really want to do, but, is that practical to be the first thing that I do? Or how can I kind of have multiple income streams? And so that's, that's something that I've been trying for quite a few years, just setting up different income streams. And, considering like what's happening in our world right now, I'm so grateful that I did that, because, some of the income streams were just not possible anymore. Like the festival that I run, or, with the women's club, there's certain events we would have in real life, and obviously those haven't been able to happen. So, but having other income streams that weren't dependent on people being together in real life has just meant that business can continue. So I think the biggest lessons have been around, what does sustainability of a business look like, and how can we still do that? How can we, a lot of mindset stuff, so, everything from, this idea of the starving artist, and appreciating that we don't have to subscribe to that at all. We can be thriving artists. So a lot of mindset stuff around that, a lot of, kind of appreciating your value, because also, a lot of the world doesn't appreciate the value of creative work sometimes. So, standing up for your value and being like, no, this is what I deserve, and I'm not going to undersell myself. So that has also been a journey, just learning how to assert myself and my value. And then also, the whole mindset of money is evil, and not subscribing to that, and there being nothing wrong with me trying to increase the income coming through my business, because that reflects the value that I'm giving to people. Do you know what I mean? So so lots of stuff around money and sustainability in that way. I think those have been the biggest lessons, and I'm still learning, but yeah, just with every lesson, just feeling more confident, and just like appreciating the value of systems to like make everything happen. So at times it's been tough, but like I'm so grateful for the person it's made me. And I always say, I think the biggest, it's personal growth, like this business journey, like the biggest thing that has happened is just a lot of personal growth. Yeah.
I so resonate with that. You say that, and
Yeah.
you surrendered to it, and you've learned, and you've grown, and all the things that have come up, absolutely, you've gone through. And I love how you champion creativity. I really love, when you know that it's, yes, the worth and value of that, and bringing that is so needed, and just such a wonderful thing that you do that, and really owning that as something to be of value, and financially compensated for as it deserves. So
Right.
really huge thing, and the journey that took you on as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, the money stuff. Oh yeah, that's my biggest, definitely, on this journey, the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably.
And it's just, like having the faith and persistence, because sometimes you're like, maybe I should like give up and get a job, and then I think, oh my gosh, my heart, like that I know that's not right for me. So yeah, it's having that faith, I think. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about that, because I know that comes up so often, and I've experienced it, but that faith, that faith when you want to go back, or it's like, oh, why am I doing this? Maybe it'd be easier to go back to a job. Like, how have you got through those moments, those times?
Right. I think it's at those times I remember all the things that I didn't like about being employed, and just, like I don't know, I joke that I don't think I'm meant to be employed, but I mean, it's I just remember the times when I was really miserable, and I knew I had so much more to give, but the structure of employment didn't allow me to do that, and then also just being able to take care of myself. Sometimes there are days where, and I think also as an empath, because we're taking so much energy on, there's some days where you can't be productive and you can't be effective. And in employment, you can't call your boss and say, today is really not a good day because and so I really could never get over this idea of that we're expected to be in the office between this hour and this hour and deliver, when I just don't think that's realistic for human beings. Like, we can't turn on productivity all of the time. So when I think of all of those things, like, just the thought is draining. And I know that as as tough as that situation might, the situation that I'm in that made me think maybe I should go back, as tough as it may be, when I compare it to that situation and the drainingness, I'm making up words, of that situation, it kind of reminds me that, no, like, let me make this work. Let me figure out what I need to do to make this work. Yeah.
I so hear you. And thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. You're not built for that world. You're built to be this. Absolutely. You are this. Yes, absolutely. And I also, really want to touch on this, because this is a huge part of the work I do, and really honoring, our self-care, our needs. We can't be on all the time, and what the Western working world demands of us.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do for yourself in your life, and, in your business? What, you're a mum, I know, as well, young, little one, and that's another demand on you as well. And so how do you balance it all, and how do you make it work for you in your business, and ultimately nourish yourself in your business?
Got you. Like, I think it's an ongoing struggle, but you know, with every day or week or year, like I put in place things that help me more and more. You know, lately the things that have really been helping me are my sort of grounding practices or my balancing practices. So, you know, my meditation, my journaling, yoga, and really, really trying to carve that time out at the beginning of the day. So it's made me, I've turned into a morning person. I would never have expected that I would ever be a morning person. But, you know, whenever I tried it, it really worked. And so I just kind of kept trying and you know, committing to that. So, you know, these days I wake up, you know, by 5 a.m. and just, it means I have that quiet time to just do my things. You know, there were times where I like, okay, I'll do it in the evening, but by the time the day is over, I'm so exhausted, and, you know, it's not easy to be like, okay, now I'm gonna do these things. So morning has worked the best for me. And you know, still there are times where it doesn't happen for whatever reason. So also being kind to myself sometimes, that, you know, I can't always do the things that I set myself out to do, and that's okay. And then lately something I'm testing out this month and hopefully beyond is just taking Fridays off, because if something this pandemic has taught me is that actually before I wasn't being as effective with my time, because now, you know, I have the same kind of business responsibilities, and my son is home, you know, and just dealing with everything that's going on in the world, which is also draining, but I'm still able to produce as much, or if not more, than I was before. So it made me realize that yes, I can afford to take a day off, and, you know, the world won't fall apart, and in fact it will nourish me even more. So so those are some of the things that I've been doing, and just also creating for the sake of creating, because it's so tough as somebody whose work involves creativity, and yet that's also what you just love to do anyway. You know, it's a very thin line. So sometimes just finding a creative practice that has nothing to do with work can be really, just really good for the soul, I think.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. And I love that you take Friday off. I do that now as well. So yes. And the creativity. And I love that it's beautiful things that you do. And I love that you're sharing about creativity as we move now a little bit towards more of the branding creativity that you do. I'd love to, because I know you came up with a beautiful program, Soulful Branding. It was a challenge originally, wasn't it? And then that's into a course and a membership. Is that right? Or it's a program that you do, isn't it?
Yeah. So like you said, so it started as a challenge. It was like a 5-day challenge, like 3 years ago. And you know, I had like 100 people sign up, and they loved it, and they gave me really good feedback, which made me think, okay, I can turn this into a course, and I'll take all the feedback on board. And so that happened. So as Tara said, it's called the Soulful Branding Challenge. And it's really about, or it's kind of based on this idea that our branding should make our hearts sing. Like, our branding should feel aligned with who we are. And so just guiding people to get clarity around, you know, or how they want to express themselves in the world, who their audience is, you know, really getting clear and specific about that. And then from there, you know, it's so easy to then reach them and engage them in a way that resonates, and you know, kind of build your tribe. So that's kind of what the Soulful Branding is all about. And it's now evolved into like the foundations for the free to create membership that I talked about.
Amazing. And we were talking about this before, and it's just so in alignment how we both do branding from different backgrounds, completely aligned to, it's about, how you feel like about yourself, or how you want your audience to feel, and just getting that really clear. So we can share a little bit now, probably from our different experiences, but I love how it's, especially for empaths, I think, in particular, also, soulful, creative, people that want to come into the world and bring that passion, that desire, that love, that everything, and have that translated, I think is key, because we really feel it so much, and it has to resonate, and it has to be right, because otherwise there's a misalignment, so, but I've worked with some big brands and corporations, and branding from PR and marketing perspective, and they have to create their brand as, they have to almost find that person, that identity, because they're this entity, a business. Whereas with us, it's quite different. We can be the brand. And so, diving into that deeper. So it's wonderful that we can share a bit more on that now.
Yeah, and I think you really hit the nail on the head, Tara. And this is something I'd observed when I was like starting doing this, is that a lot of us are afraid to put ourselves into our branding, and I guess because we've grown up in this society where brands are things, they're not. They're not embodied, and so we feel like, no, it's business. It's I don't know. It's this thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it does feel like that at the beginning, and it's got to have this way of being, and it's this thing. Whereas actually, you can bring it in, you can embody it, like you said. Yeah,
exactly. And I think so. That was like a big motivation for the course, just getting people to like let go of that expectation and just be able to put themselves out there, and all of themselves, and in fact it's that is going to set your brand apart, because you are already unique. So when you present that, you're already going to set yourself apart, and then competition isn't an issue.
Yes, key point. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think when we're true to ourselves and we express that in our branding, then we never have to worry about competition. Like, we've kind of said, this is who I am, and this is the magic that I bring. So that tells people, okay, this person is for me, or this person is not for me, and both of those are fine. If they're not for you, good. Like, you've saved yourself an experience that would drain you working with someone who isn't aligned. So it's having that confidence, like, and abundance mindset that, if this person says no to working with me, it's fine. There is another person out there who's going to be just right. And so I'll wait for them. So that's like what it's all about,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's key. It's that abundance mindset, that knowing that, you're not for everyone. You are not. And that is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. The sooner you become okay with that and begin to own who you are, and let it filter out, then it's just becomes so much more aligned and magical than you could ever imagine. It really does.
Agree.
So some practical ways to get started with this, which we were so aligned with as well. So some practical tips, like, where would you begin? And I'll add, because we have the same ones.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I think, and this is something I've been thinking about a lot more lately. I think it all begins in like checking in with your purpose. Really, really getting in tune with, what do you want out of life, and how do you want to serve others? What change do you want to see or create? Really starting with that introspective piece, because then that informs everything you do. Because once you know the change that you want to see or create, then that translates into how you want to serve others. And then that piece we're talking about, so once you know how you want to serve others, like, how do you want them to feel when they interact with your brand or your business? How do you want them to feel? And once you have a clear picture of this, and sometimes I challenge people to think about it in a word or a short phrase, right? Because then you can look at everything about your branding. And when I say branding, a really clear thing I want to make a point of is, I'm not talking about your logo or just your visual identity. It's everything that you put out there. So if you have a physical space that you invite people into, that's, you know, that experience they'll have in that space, that is part of your branding. You know, if you create content or, you know, any materials, you know, all of that is telling a story and communicating who you are and what you're about. So it's all of those things, you know, it's just how you express in the world. So yeah, thinking about every single aspect of that and how does it make people feel? And, you know, when you've decided how you want to make them feel, you know, are all those things communicating that, you know, like inspiring that feeling. So,
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
I'll add in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No. Yeah, so just using that as like a measuring kind of, yeah, a way to measure everything you're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, just adding to the, you know, when you know what your purpose is and stuff, sometimes I think it's actually can go deeper in the beginning about getting to know yourself. And like you talked about that journey of self-awareness and growth, you know, the entrepreneurial journey takes you on. I mean, I know I've refined over the years and to where I am today. I know myself, you know, obviously, and I will continue to get to know myself better, but where I am today is quite different from 5 years ago when I started. And that has impacted how I share my branding and my message, because I've got clearer. So also I think, you know, as you shared that, it's also allowing it, it's going to change and evolve too. That's a side thing, of course. Yeah, how you getting to know yourself is key. And I know we often look at what we want the audience to be, you know, how we're going to them, and that's so important, absolutely. But I feel for empaths particularly, it's we've got to get to know ourselves so well. I really do. And that's such a big thing, and how that gets translated out there. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Like there's an exercise that I have people do at the beginning it's finding your voice, but then, you know, like a practical visual exercise for them to do that, to just like kind of collect the things that move them, inspire them. And it's so interesting when you look at people's mood boards, like just an instant glance, it says so much. Even though they were kind of doing it without, because I always challenge people to do it like kind of instinctively, as opposed to like being, you know, thinking about it. So, you know, they've done this intuitive work, and then it tells you so much, and they start to see the connections of things. And so, yeah, I totally agree. It's such an inward journey. Yeah.
Such an inward journey. And then it just sort of almost like, what's the word, unfurls out of you, almost infuses into everything you do, because it's so powerful. That knowledge, that awareness, that grounded, embodied, you know, you-ness is so powerful. And that's what you're here to shine out, actually, aren't you? In your, you know, your messages, your social posts, your videos, or whatever it might be. And it all links, as you, yeah, exactly. It's not just your logo and your colors, for example, but, you know, that's part of it, but it's all of the sharing that you do, isn't it? How you're getting out there. Definitely.
Exactly.
And the feeling, going back to your point about how you want others to feel, that's such a, yeah, I mean, that's beautiful, of course, for empaths too. And how does it make you feel? Ultimately, that's a really great way to see it. How is it making you feel? And then that usually, you know, translates to how others are going to feel as well. And if they're not for you, perfect. And if they are, amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just get so clear and focused on it. I think the more you do that, and the more you come back to it, and I love, you know, I'm going to go, you've inspired me, I might do a mood board tomorrow. So yeah, I think it's great to come and revisit regularly, isn't it? To come and check in with yourself and give yourself that time and honor yourself with, you know, where your journey's come and gone. So
exactly, like yeah, even like the checking of your purpose, the mood board, like they're things we should be doing at least every year, because we change so much, we evolve, we grow. So you know, our brands are going to change and evolve and grow with us. So yeah, we should be open to that and enjoy the process, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, is there anything else you'd like to share around this, the kind of
I think so something that so kind of thinking about your audience, you know, and when I challenge people to think about who their ideal client or customer is, a lot of people kind of get caught up with, oh, but like I am my ideal client or customer, and feeling like that's wrong, when, you know, often I think that's because we have been looking for something ourselves that we haven't found, and so we've created it. And so there's nothing wrong with you know, you being, you know, your ideal client or customer. And again, I think it's going, you know, it's those hang-ups we have from how things should be done, when, yeah, no, I mean, lean into that. If you know, and if you are your own ideal client or customer, amazing, because you know yourself, or you know, it's easy for you to like really dig into yourself, so you can get those insights, and you know, how, you know, use them to really reach and serve other people like you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I created my first few things for me. They were for me.
Yeah.
Ultimately, my first self-care challenge was for me, and it grew.
Yeah.
It's what I needed, reminders daily, and then that evolved, and I wrote my first book for myself even. So, you know, it's yeah, you are your best in so many ways, especially I think for many empaths, not all obviously, but for many in terms of what they do and how they show up and what they're here to do and serve. It's fulfilling that need that they have, and their unique way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. That's so beautiful, and such wonderful sharing, and lots of fun to play with. Actually, you can go away and be creative and have fun getting, like, it's like a creative exercise. Go and get to know yourself and visually.
Exactly. And that's why I say this whole, like, your branding process should be fun. Like, you should enjoy it, because this is, you know, it's self-indulgent, you know, in many ways. And so enjoy it, you know. Yeah. And ultimately, you know, like what, you know, the things, the outputs or kind of outcomes of the process, you know, should be things that you love, because they're reflecting, you know, your soul. So yeah, like, just
exactly,
embrace the whole thing. Yeah.
And on that note, if that's all right, I wanted to share a little added dimension. Thank you for those wonderful, wonderful tips. And we're not quite finished, but I'd love to share how another way that you can add a dimension into getting to know yourself. And this, I mean, this can apply to anything, but I was going to do a little color numerology on Lulu, just to show you how, you know, some added depth to her business name. So is that all right if I share this?
Yes.
Pull it up. So this is a way to dive deeper into your business. So what you could do is, you could do it with the name of your business. You could do it with your name. You could do it with a name of a service or an offering, whatever. You do it, so you do the name, and then you do the launch date or the date, perhaps. So I mean, we're going to do Lulu, but for example, my book that's coming out, I've done it for the cover, the name, and the date that I want it to come out. So this could add just another depth of exploration, you know, to getting to know, and it kind of shares a bit about the energy behind the name, the energy behind it. So what people might be feeling, even in just a name, you know, words have power, numbers have power, what we actually subconsciously feel. So we've done it for, I've done it for Lulu's business name. And she's got, I mean, first of all, like, how do those bottles make you feel?
They make me feel very, like, how can I say, very, like, at ease, and like powerful and confident, and like assured, and yeah, and just like kind of excited, and yeah, let's do this kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, they're very powerful. I mean, they're very strong bottles. The fact that you've got these two repeated already is just, there's a real power. And they're, you know, this is actually this is the first master number in the system, which is 11. This bottle, and that's actually a deep magenta color, which doesn't look like, and clear. And the deep magenta is about the divine and bringing that down to earth. So it's all about your brand as a bridge between the spiritual, you know, the other things, the subconscious things, and bringing them into the physical. It acts as this bridge. You can, you know, and you've talked about it too, you're very good at, you know, bringing concepts, ideas into the ground and into the practical. And so this is what this says it does behind your business. It's very good at bringing that, making abstract concepts real, grounded. And that's a really what that bottle represents. And you have it twice in there. So very, very powerful. And this one is the moon. So actually, and again, that's, because that's twice, the moon energy, that feminine energy, bringing, some of the more emotional feeling stuff into, bringing it down in a very feminine, powerful way, the feminine power, that side of the business, rather than, more of the masculine led power, which, there's a tiny bit in the red, but actually the blue is they're bringing the feminine power into the business and standing up for female businesses. And you've got, your Afri-Women Connection Club and you do a lot of work with women. So really stand for women and feminine power. And it can be with men too, absolutely. But, feminine in men, but that feminine power and really bringing that to light, helping them to be the bigger and best, helping them to grow and share. So there's a lot of that energy going on here. Again, this is the red energy is, really, it's actually the Mars bottle and it's action, it's getting things done, really, you take action, you don't just sit around. So that shows that the business is there, it's going to make things happen, which is a good thing. You need that, you have to, the money, this, you have to bring it down to earth. You can't, it's all wonderful having these ideas and beautiful connections, but unless you're going to do something with them, they will stay there. Or, when you're bringing it into a practical business sense, as we know, you have to balance the two. And just this, you've got the bit of coral and silver, which is about the unconditional love, and also the galactic. So you're kind of merging that and just having those little extra bits of kind of, I suppose, essences in your business that show the underlying love and galacticness of you too in there. And this one's the gateway as well. So it's about that bridge between worlds, bringing things together, and that's ultimately what it says underlying. So that's quite perfect that's what you do, and a lot of it relates. And how does that feel?
No, it feels really affirming. I think sometimes, like when you're running a business and you don't know if you're like on the right track, or so just like hearing all these things is really affirming. Like I said, like this year even has brought so much clarity to me, or I felt, much clearer about my kind of focus. And so these things are really affirming that and making me more confident that yes, this kind of new focus or like streamlining is on track, so thank you so much for that.
Pleasure. And I'll quickly share these three, which I should have done, the date that you launched, which is so beautiful, because this is actually the bottle of this year, Uranus, and it's all about changing things, disrupting things, but in a stable way. You're here to bring in new change, get rid of old ways and being of things and thinking and paradigms, and bring in the new. Whenever this bottle comes up, it's changes here. You're ready for change. This is about bringing in the new golden age. And that's what the date represents. It's so beautiful. And you do that with, you disrupt things. You bring in new ideas and concepts, and you allow them to come in, and not, you don't stick to the old paradigms and ways of working and ways of being and ways of showing up and doing design and branding. It's about bringing in the new. And you have this is the magician. So everything, there's magic in that. So anything you do will be, magical, as well as being the divine feminine. The green olive is all about the divine feminine, bringing that in. And this is Venus, all a dose of love, bringing it all with love, and just complete holds beauty of love in all that you do. Yeah. So I just think that's wonderful.
Thank you. No, I love this. I love this. Yeah.
And when we do come to color, just, in terms of interest, in terms of color psychology, I wanted to, so this is Lulu's logo, but for others watching, it is interesting how colors, colors have a vibration. We feel them, we react, think about what this color makes you feel. You might like it, you might not. We all know, the colors for the chakras, or, I think most of us do, especially if you're in my group, you will. But, so how does, what does the color say? And there can be positives and maybe less positives, but every color. And, it's how you use them and what they say and what else they're used with, sorry. So, yellow is very much optimistic, sunny, bright, you feel the sunshine, you feel that radiance, you feel that, outwardness, optimism, you really do with yellow. I mean, yeah, obviously it's your logo, so you've got, you know how it makes you feel, and you chose it. I have a yellow logo, which is great.
Yeah.
But I mean, there can also be some things with yellow. It could it could be maybe a bit confusing actually, or it can also represent addictions. So you might use it for something where you're supporting people with addictions, for example, because people who have addictions or either will hate it or love it and be attracted. So this, I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's interesting to see how color can influence and maybe reach people that you're trying to reach. If you want, if you got into it, you could play with it more. So it can be supportive, yellowy gold for people, who have things coming up in those areas.
That's really interesting. I think that all of this is so fascinating, and sometimes it's so interesting how we might pick colors just instinctively, but there's that like subconscious,
Absolutely.
kind of messaging behind it. Yeah,
completely. No, I just wanted to say for my last logo I had, it was orange, and it can represent trauma. So I don't know, it was interesting to find out. I love orange and just wanted it because it's also bright, it's joyful, it's manifestation, it's bliss, but it's also trauma. And maybe there could be, was I repelling people who had gone through traumatic experience, or attracting, one or the other? It's just, there's not a right or wrong with any of it. It's just interesting to dive deeper into layers of it. And actually, so
that's so interesting.
Lots of stuff to play with and have fun with, on this creative, colourful, soulful branding journey. Yes.
Yes.
So how did that's all reaffirming for you, and just different colours, and you could use those colours in your business. You could have them. I know you could look at them. You could, we talked about this. You could wear them for a week. You could try branding in different colours like that, and it's just have fun with it and see what resonates.
Yeah, that's so true. Even like just when I was looking at it, the colors that I chose for my free to create membership, are like, there are quite a few of them from what you showed me, and like, I mean, I chose them not really thinking, of course I didn't know this, or but so it's so interesting to see that kind of synergy. So I love it. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
It's fun, and there's so much more depth in there you can go into, and the fractions and things, and absolutely, you can go into a lot more detail and what each color means. And I forgot to say, blue is all about communication ultimately, and you have 2 blue bottles in there, and you're a communications company anyway, so there you go. Absolutely, that's a key point. So well, Lulu and I have, thank you also for your time so far, but we have an offer actually that we'd like to share with this lovely group of empathpreneurs, and we are offering a few people only. It's just going to be because I think a select number of people, 2 branding sessions with us. So you get 2 90-minute sessions with us to help you with your branding, to help you get really clear on where you're at, what you want, what you need. Lulu, please add more here as I talk. And some of the things that we will really support you with in these 2 sessions are clarity around connecting your purpose with your branding, as Lulu talked about, a clear picture of who your ideal client is, clarity on how you want your clients to feel about your business, as well as practical guidance on how to facilitate this feeling and connection with your audience through your branding. And you'll leave feeling confident that you have a brand that is in alignment, really importantly, in alignment with who you are. So, and we're also going to give you some bonuses as well. But would you like to add anything more to that? This what we're offering?
No, I think that's perfect, Tara. So like really like a lot of the things that we've been talking about today, how do you practically work on those things? So we're going to give you like really practical tools, so like Tara said, you'll be really confident going forward, and in love with the brand that you're now going to put out into the world.
Absolutely, and that's why we'll have 2 sessions, so you can have some time in between to get creative and plan as well when we meet again. And as a bonus as well, I will be offering everyone who does do it a color mirrors reading. So you'll be able to give me either a name and a date for your business, if that's what it is that you're looking to do, or it could be an upcoming launch or an offering, so that you can have the colors for them with more description and explanation of what they mean and what they might represent, to see how that feels and aligns, and and whether the colors might be useful to you too. So we'll give that as well. And I will put details of all of this in the description, which you'll see, and a contact to get in touch with me, and we'll send more information because there are only a few spaces, and we'll be doing the sessions in August. So it gives you a bit of time. Yeah. But thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share, Lulu, before we?
No, just really just to reiterate that you know, branding, it's so much more. It's so soulful and colorful, like we just, you know, talked about, and so I really invite everyone to really embrace that and embrace the journey, the process, and really, you know, just put yourself in, you know, like don't be afraid to put yourself in there, and you're going to end up with something really magical that's going to attract what you want. You know, I think when I started, you know, being self-employed, as much as I was at the time even, you know, working with people on branding, I never took the time to really do this for myself in the beginning. And as a result, you know, I attracted projects, work, and situations that just, you know, weren't nurturing for me, or weren't, you know, the right ones for me. And so it's such an important process, I think, for all of us to really make the time and investment to work on, because it is going to help you attract what it is that you want. So yes.
I love it, absolutely. And just you said it, but to add that knowing that consistency, it creates a really grounded feel to your business, you know, and who you are and what you share. And I think super important, people that want to work with you want to feel that. They want to feel held and supported, especially in this crazy world that we're in. I know those are the people I've worked with where I felt that I'm held and supported, that in what I'm there to work with them for. And having that is such a powerful way to say, you know, this is what it is. It's, you know, consistency is really key in many ways, actually, or having whatever that might mean in your way, but having that, it really creates that container that is supportive, I think, personally. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that, Tara. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Lulu. It's been lovely to finally do this. The internet worked. So thank you. Was with us. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no.
So much. Yeah, as well.
Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed this. And yeah, I feel really good. So thank you.
Thank you. And we hope, you know, if anyone's interested, please get in touch. And we hope to, be able to support you with your magical branding, your colorful, soulful branding.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Lulu.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.